If you have been putting off your career pivot because it just feels like maybe too much, too many steps, too much to figure out, too much time that you don't have to waste on figuring out your career, and you're hearing how people have maybe been using AI to do things more efficiently, but you're not sure where to start when it comes to planning your career change, well, I got you, because AI can definitely help you cut through some of the overwhelm and move faster in making a pivot. So in this video, I'm sharing exactly how I would use AI if I were going through a career pivot right now as a career coach who has helped hundreds of women find fulfilling careers. I'm going to share my step-by-step process for making a pivot, what I would put in AI and what I would actually do with the information I got from that AI tool. And I'm also going to be honest with you about the steps in a career pivot where AI cannot help you, because a key part of actually being efficient when using AI is knowing where it can help you and what its limits are. If you're new here, hi and welcome. If you are a regular viewer, welcome back. I am Dr. Tega. I'm a career coach who helps professional women leave draining, soul-sucking jobs that they no longer enjoy and land higher paying, more fulfilling careers by coaching them to clarify their next career move and job search without burning out. Check out the video's description below for more details about how we can work together to help you land a job you love. Let's get into today's video. Before I get into the how of using AI to plan your pivot, I do think it's important to mention something for you or other people who are watching this video and have some real ethical concerns about AI when it comes to things like data centers, water usage, and even just environmental impact of AI use. I believe that those are valid and real concerns, and I am not here to dismiss any of those concerns. And the fact is that AI is also here. It is being used. People are getting ahead with it. So my goal today is simply to show you how to use it as a tool in a very specific way if you are so inclined, which is planning and making your career pivot so you can decide for yourself whether it is a useful tool for you or not. Now, here is what I'm going to cover in this video. It's going to be twofold. I will walk you through step by step how to make a successful career pivot. And for each of the steps I'm going to share, I will share one of three things: how I would use AI at this step and the actual prompt that I would use, or why AI is not actually helpful for you at this step and what you should do instead, or finally, where AI can help a little bit, but you still need to bring yourself and your own thoughts into it. So let's get into the very first step. So step one of any career pivot is getting super clear on who you are and what you actually want from your career in this season of your life. And I'm going to tell you upfront, AI can't do this for you. It just can't. And I don't mean like it's not great at it. I mean, AI will actively mislead you if you try to use AI at this step. And here's why. When you ask AI to help you figure out what career is right for you, it doesn't know you as a person. So it's going to look at some patterns and give you agreeable general answers. And it cannot ask you follow-up questions that actually help you identify your core values, your zone of interest, or the kind of work that will truly excite you right now in this season of your life. So I want you to just sit with that for a moment and think about that, okay? The most important question in the entire pivot is, what do I really want? And that is the one question that AI cannot help you answer. So what I would do at this step instead is reflection activities that help me reconnect with who I am, discover the skills I enjoy using, and what I want to do in my career right now. That looks like figuring out my values. What is important to me right now in this season of my life? Identifying and exploring my various interests and auditing the skills I've developed in my career so far. These kinds of activities help you figure out who you really are right now, not who you were 5 years ago, and what work you will enjoy right now, not the kind of work that you used to enjoy 5 years ago. Now, I do have an entire playlist on my YouTube channel with videos to help you figure out your next career move. So definitely check that out if you need more help with this step. Step two is identifying your transferable skills, meaning the skills that you have built across your career that can take you, or that you can take with you into a new role or a new industry. Now, this is super important when it comes to making a career pivot, because you are essentially trying to do different kind of work without starting over in your career or feeling like you're burning everything down. So you need to be able to position yourself as already qualified for the kind of work that you want to do. Now, this is a step where I see a lot of women get it wrong when they try to use AI. So let's talk about how to use AI well at this phase. What I have heard and seen most women do is they will take their resume resume or their work history, they'll put it into AI and they'll ask it for a list of transferable skills. And AI is going to do just that. It will give you a list of transferable skills. But that list is going to be problematic because AI does not know which of those skills you actually enjoy using versus the ones that just you've developed and you have by nature of the tasks and the responsibilities that you have done over your career. And what you have to realize is that if you are a mid-career professional who is trying to make a career pivot, you have developed a ton of skills at this point in your career. But that doesn't mean that you enjoy using all those skills that you have developed over your career. So you have to be able to differentiate between the skills you're good at and the skills that genuinely energize you. If your goal with this pivot that you want to make is to find work you actually truly enjoy, you would need to be able to differentiate between those two skill sets. So what I would do at this step is, yes, I will collate my work history and everything I've done in the past, and I will feed it into an AI tool. And here is what I would say to it specifically. I would say, here's a list of all the roles and responsibilities I have had over my career. I am currently in the process of making a career pivot and trying to identify my transferable skills. Based on this list, identify and share a report of all the transferable skills that you are able to pull from my work history. And for each transferable skill, let me know if it is transferable only within my current industry or to other industries. And then once I get the result and that list from that prompt, the next thing I would do is now go through the list by myself with a fine-tooth comb and ask myself this one question for each one. Is this a skill that makes me feel good when I use it? Or is it a skill that I simply have? My next step would be to then take that and categorize it into two: the skills I enjoy using and the skills I've simply developed by nature of what I have done in my career so far. If you do this, you will identify transferable skills that you actually want to carry forward in your career so that you can be energized by your work as opposed to the skills that you just have. So this is one step where AI definitely can sort of help, but you still need to do the self-reflection and parse through the data and the results that AI gives you for it to be helpful. Then step 3 is to start researching roles and industries that match what I have learned about myself so far. And this is where I believe AI is going to shine, because at this point, from the clarity work I did in step 1, I either know exactly what role I want to pivot into, or maybe I have 2 to 3 options I'm seriously considering. And from step 2, I know what skills I already bring to the table for the role or my options. So now the next step is for me to research so that I can learn more about the roles I'm considering, identify any skills gaps I might need to close, and start to get a realistic picture of what making this pivot actually looks like. And if you are watching this and you're thinking, I don't even have one pivot option yet, I have no idea what I want to pivot into, then that is a sign that you definitely need to go back to step 1 before you come to this step. Research is often the most time-consuming part of a career pivot, which is exactly why you need to have clarity before you start it, and why I lean on AI the most at this step. So if I'm deciding between 2 to 3 possible career directions and I want to quickly understand what each role actually involves day to day, what the salary ranges look like, what qualifications are typically required, AI can speed up that research process for me. And here is the prompt that I would use in whatever AI tool that I pick. I'm considering a career pivot from your current role to your target role or your target industry. Act as a career researcher and give me a breakdown of what this role involves day to day, the typical salary range for the role, the top skills required, and how someone with a background in your current field might be positioned for this role. And then I would read what AI gives me critically, right? AI is great at synthesizing publicly available information, but you still need to cross-reference what it tells you with actual job postings, and more importantly, conversations with real people in those roles, which then brings me to the second place that AI is really useful in this step. So if you're someone who has been doing informational interviews, meaning you've been having conversations with people who are already working in the field that you want to move into, which by the way, you should absolutely be doing that if you haven't been doing it, AI can help you synthesize your notes from those conversations. So you can take your notes from the meetings you've been having and then ask your AI tool to summarize the key themes, the most common advice you've been getting, and the red flags that maybe people mentioned about that role. So that is how I would use AI in the third step to research and clarify the role that I want to pivot into. Now, before I go through the last 4 steps of the process, if you already know that you want to make a career pivot, but you're just not sure where to start and how to navigate the entire process so you actually end up in a job that you genuinely enjoy as opposed to just pivoting into another job that makes you miserable, then you should definitely check out my Peaceful Pivot Guide. The Peaceful Pivot Guide is a self-paced resource that I created to help you navigate a successful career change using my 5-step framework. You can grab your copy by clicking the link in the description of this video below. And if you are finding this video helpful so far, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. Liking the video ensures that YouTube shares this video with more people who need to hear this message, and subscribing ensures that you don't miss future videos from me, and candidly, it does help this channel grow. Thank you. So now we move on to step 4, which is decoding and understanding job descriptions for your target role. So at this point, I have clarified what I want to pivot into. I know what my transferable skills are. I've used AI to do research to either learn more about my target role or pick between a couple of options and learn more about my target role. Either way, at this point, I have clarity. I have clarity about what I want to pivot into, but now what I need to understand are job descriptions for this role so that I can get a better sense of what is the problem that companies are looking to solve when they hire someone for this role? How to position myself using the language of that role or industry so that I actually sound qualified and like I know what I'm doing, which is going to drastically and dramatically increase my chances of getting an interview in my job search process. So the first thing I will do here is go to a job board and get 3 to 5 job descriptions for the role I'm targeting. At this step, I will be very aware that sometimes different companies and industries use different titles for the same type of job. So I'm going to be intentional about actually reading the job description to see that the responsibilities are the same. This is also why I'm going to focus my search on one specific industry that I am interested in so that there is more synergy in what I am seeing out there in the job market. Then I will collate all those job descriptions, copy and paste them into a document. I'm going to open my trusty AI tool, attach that document, and then I will share this prompt with the same AI tool. This is key, the same AI tool that I've been using throughout this whole process, or at least the same chat or conversation. So I would say I'm considering a career pivot from current role to target role or industry, and I have attached sample job descriptions for this role. Act as a hiring manager and tell me, what is this company really looking for? What are the top 3 non-negotiable skills and qualifications for this role? And what might actually disqualify a candidate who doesn't have X? Then considering my background in your current role, what industry specific words from my old field should I avoid using? And what words or phrases from target role or industry can I replace them with? So my goal here is to talk about my qualifications and experiences in a way that makes sense for insert the target role or industry. Now, here's the caveat to using AI at the step that I want to bring to your attention. AI can decode the job posting, but AI cannot tell you if you are actually a fit for that role. That is where your judgment call comes in, and it requires you to have self-knowledge and the self-information you've built from steps 1 and 2. So don't let AI talk you into applying for roles that you are not genuinely qualified for or interested in, because that will just lead to lots of frustration for you on this journey. This is also a major reason why working with a career coach like me is super important when you are trying to make a career pivot. Because let's be honest, your area of expertise is doing your job. It is not making career decisions. And when making a career change or pivot, there are those places, like I've shared already, where you need to do your own work for self-reflection. So if you are working with a coach, that process would always be so much more faster or sped up because the coach's area of expertise is helping you make career decisions, asking the right questions to help you surface the right answers faster so that you just don't want to be going back and forth talking yourself out of the pivot because you don't have clarity or essentially wasting time in the process. So step 5 is where I would then build a resume that positions, and this is key, markets me for the role that I have targeted. Now, let me just pause and say this, okay? And I need you to hear this clearly. AI cannot completely write your resume for you. Let me say that again. AI cannot completely write your resume for you. Right now, everybody is using AI to write their resumes and everybody's resume sounds the same. Everybody's resume is getting ignored. When you hand your full resume to AI and ask it to write it for a job, one of 2 things happens. Either it copies the language straight from the job descriptions you've been applying to and just pastes it back at you, or it inflates what you've done into a version of yourself that you cannot back up in an interview. neither of those outcomes is going to help you in your pivot. Here's how I would actually use AI to write my resume. First and foremost, I would organize my resume to position me for the job I want. And to do that, I would ensure that I have a section on my resume that highlights specifically the responsibilities and outcomes that I have achieved that are relevant to the job I am applying for. And then to write each of my bullet points throughout my resume, and especially in that special section, I would use my own framework, which is that every strong resume bullet should have three key elements: the skill you use to complete the task, the tool or method you use to complete that task, and the outcome or result you achieved. So I would use the job description to guide me. I would first write my own version of the responsibilities and accomplishments that align and are the most relevant for the, responsibilities that I picked up across my analysis of those 5 different job postings. So after I've written my own bullet points, or I could do this one at a time, after I've written each bullet point, then I would put it in an AI tool and I would say, here's a resume bullet I have written for insert the job title here. And then I'll paste my bullet, tighten this bullet for clarity and conciseness without changing the structure or removing any of these 3 elements: the skill, the tool, and the outcome. Then tell me if the bullet accurately demonstrates an impactful outcome and communicates my ability to be successful in target role. I should never be caught off guard when I am in an interview and a hiring manager or a recruiter asks me to tell them something about my resume. So remember this, you should always be the author of your resume. And if you want to see this resume bullet framework in action with a full breakdown of how to use it for a career pivot specifically, I did an entire video on this and I will link it up here. And you can definitely check out that video. It also has examples. And then for step 6, I would focus on connecting with people who are in the field that I am trying to move into. And similar to step 5, for step 6, I would not ask AI to write my connection messages. And I think this one is really important personally because you're talking to another human being. You want them to connect with you. So your messages need to come from you, another human being. And the second that someone reads a message that sounds like it was generated by an AI tool, you've lost or at least weakened that connection that you're trying to make. Human relationships that move your career forward, that help you land a job and pivot, they work because it's a personal step, and AI just cannot be personal for you. Now, what I think AI can help you do at this step is clean up a message you have already written. So if you wrote a networking message and you're not sure if it's too long, or if you're rambling, or if you're not getting to the point fast enough, you can hand it to an AI tool and say, here's a networking message I wrote. You would paste your message in, clean it up for clarity and conciseness without changing my voice or making it sound generic. Keep the message warm and direct. And I would do this as a part of my career pivot because I recognize that in today's job market, I cannot rely solely on job boards. They're honestly a black hole, let's be honest. And I know that to move my application forward faster, I need to leverage the power of connections, relationships, referrals with and from actual people who are able and willing to vouch for me and my qualifications to do the job that I am applying for. And then the final step in my career pivot is my interview prep. And I would be very intentional about how I use AI at this step. So at this point, I know what I want to pivot into. I have built a resume that markets me for the role. I'm leveraging relationships to get in front of hiring managers and decision makers so that I am now landing interviews. And there is, to me, a very specific way about how I would use AI at this step. And that is to anticipate questions that might come up in the interview. And then I would personally prepare my responses to those questions. So before any interview, I would take the job description for that role, put it in AI, and then I would say to the AI tool, I'm about to go in an interview for this job. See the job description below, paste the job posting, and then I keep going. I would say, act as a hiring manager for this role and give me the 10 most likely interview questions they would ask, including at least 2 behavioral questions and 1 question about my background that might seem like a gap or a risk. I've also attached my resume. Do not ask me about my weakness, my strength, why I want this job, or to tell you about myself. That's the prompt. The reason why I told it not to ask me any of those 4 questions is because those are guaranteed. You're going to get those questions. They are going to ask you those questions in any interview. You should be prepping for them anyway. And having AI ask you those questions is literally a waste of time and a waste of this process. So doing this activity helps you think through what questions might be coming in an interview that you can anticipate so that you are not caught off guard by any questions. Now, here's where I think AI kind of hits its limit. It can't help you answer these questions. It can't help you answer these questions well. And I mean that. AI might be able to give you a sample answer, but a sample answer is not your answer. It doesn't have your stories, your specific examples, the moments from your career that prove you can do the work. And it won't help you connect with the interviewer. And this is the thing. By the time you get to the interview stage, it's not really about your skills anymore. Like at this point, if they have invited you for an interview, it is because your resume already showed on paper that you can do the job. So to an extent, they already believe that you can do the job. At this point, they are interviewing you for fit, they're interviewing for connection and for your unique value add. AI does not know how to help you connect with the human being or know your unique value add for the interview, which is the sauce that you have to add to the interview process. So there you have it, the steps I would go through if I were making a career pivot and how I would or wouldn't leverage AI at different parts of that process. Honestly, I do think that AI is a genuinely powerful tool that can help you be more efficient in some aspects of making a pivot, especially if you're doing this while you're still hired and you're very busy. But it is only as useful as the personal foundation that you build. If you try to use AI to skip the hard work of getting clear on who you are and what you want and where you want to go in your career, you are going to end up with a beautiful resume for a pivot you don't actually want, and you're going to be miserable in your career again right after you make a pivot. So those steps where AI cannot help you, the clarity work, the transferable skills, the storytelling, those are also the steps that determine how successful your pivot is. And success to me is landing a job you actually want. And those steps are the exact reason why I created the Peaceful Pivot Guide, to help you navigate a pivot well. The Peaceful Pivot Guide walks you through both that foundational work that AI cannot do, and it includes more AI prompts built in for the steps where AI can help you move faster. So you are not choosing between doing the foundational work and using AI when you purchase this resource. You actually get both in one resource. So if you've been putting off your pivot because it feels like too much work, the Peaceful Pivot Guide is exactly your perfect starting point. It is a self-paced resource that guides you through everything from clarifying what role makes the most sense for you right now based on the skills you have, to actually building a resume that markets your skills, to interviewing for the role, all the way to landing the role. The guide is only $49, and when you grab your copy today, you can actually begin your journey to leaving that draining, soul-sucking job that has been making you unhappy for years and years and years now. And you can go to pivotwithpeace.com to learn more and grab your copy, or you can just see the description of this video for a link to go grab your copy to the Peaceful Pivot Guide. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. As usual, I hope that you found it helpful. And if you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And then once you hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons below, don't click away, because watch this. There's another video popping up on the screen right here. Go ahead and click that video. Watch that video. I have a feeling you have not yet watched that video. So tap it so that I can continue supporting you in your career.